Hi, here we have a DSX9 from JR. It's a pretty well known radio. It's probably one of the best value for money radios out there at the moment. I get a lot of questions about how to set one up to use multiple surfaces, how to gang two servos together, what's the easiest way to do it. In the following section you'll see how to mate, simply how to mate elevator servos, rudder servo and aileron servos. It's quite simple when someone shows you how to do it. Sometimes the manual is a little ambiguous and you can get a little lost on it. So in the following section you can clearly see how to mate an elevator servo and a rudder servo, and how to set up your flaperon so you have two aileron servos. Clearly if you don't want to have two elevator or two rudder servos, don't mate them, it's quite simple. I'll also go through flight modes on how to set up your flight modes. Whether you choose to use that or just use individual dual rates is up to you, but setting up the flight modes, I'll show you on this on how to set it up too. You'll find that quite easy, and that way it'll give you three separate options in flight modes for dual rates.
Okay, here we are in the systems menu. We'll scroll down to device select, and what you really need to do is to turn off some of these active switches. You'll notice that all the switches are activated as a common default. Your gear switch, your flap, your auxiliary 2, auxiliary 3, auxiliary 4, etc. all have these switches assigned to them. And as you can see, they're all active. Now the gear switch, you'll probably use that for your kill switch or smoke or whatever you like. What we need to do is turn off the flaps, make that inhibitive. Auxiliary 2, and I generally turn off the auxiliary 3 and 4 ones as well, even if you're not using them. Now with those out of the way, with those switches deactivated, that opens up quite a few other channels for matching or mating to. When we get into the next screen, I'll show you how to do that. But while we're here, you'll look at flight modes. Now whether you use flight modes or dual rates, this is an option you can use so that you can have all your dual rates assigned to flight modes, which puts them all on one switch. I personally like it. I use it quite a bit. It gives you 3 flight modes in, which gives you 3 rates for each flying surface, for ailerons, elevators and rudder. Now if you bring that up, it gives you a switch assignment. You can pick flap switch, auxiliary 2, pick whatever switch you like. I usually pick auxiliary 2, it suits my where I like my hand to go. And you'll notice here there's a trim and it's set to common. Now common's probably the one you actively use all the time. I don't see the reason for going to a flight mode. The flight mode one enables you to have different trim settings for each flight mode. This might be handy for a warbird or some scale plane, but commonly for your aerobatic aircraft, I don't see the necessity for it. I generally leave mine on common, which means all your trims are common to each flight mode. There's no need to change them. And down the bottom here you've got your dual rate. If you flick that from switch to flight mode, now you have 3 active flight modes, and I'll show you that screen when we go into it, when we go onto the main menu, that you can set exponential for and rates for separately for 3 levels for each surface. Now we go back to list and we go to wing type, and you'll see down here are the mating servos for aileron, elevator, rudder and flap. Now initially we need to go up to wing, and you have, if you highlight the wing, you'll find normal, flaperon and delta. Now in this application we want to bring up flaperon. When you assign flaperon, that assigns the left hand wing panel to then be assigned to auxiliary 1. It's an automatic assignment that's in the software, so auxiliary 1 is now your left hand wing panel. So we don't have to set aileron, that's already done by flaperon. With elevator, you can pick now, you have a choice of auxiliary 2, auxiliary 3. Auxiliary 2 for your elevator, that's now dualed up elevator and auxiliary 2 as your second elevator. Now go up here to rudder and auxiliary 3. Automatically it comes up now rudder and auxiliary 3 are now mated together. You'll notice at the bottom here on auxiliary 3, on the rudder section, it asks you if you want it to be the trim section to be inhibited or to be active. Now in this case we want it to be active, so just click that. Now with the elevator this doesn't come up, it doesn't show you this. It's an automatic assumption that you'll need the same trimming on both. With the rudder one, it asks you if you wanted to do it, so just don't forget to make it active. And that's it, done. Now when we go straight into the normal menu, we'll bring up the list, we'll go to the dual rate section, and you'll see now that you have flight mode 0, flight mode 1, flight mode 2. and this is active for elevator and rudder. So you can change the dual rate for 3 sections and the expo for each one, for each of those channels. Now we go back to your servo monitor. You'll see now that we also have right hand aileron, left hand aileron, right hand elevator, left hand elevator, right hand rudder, left hand rudder. And all of those, if you have a look at the ailerons, both are moving now. And the trim functions are also working together. And the same for the elevator. And the same for the rudder. They're all mated together. It's all straightforward. This makes the setup quite simple on all your aerobatic aircraft. I hope this helps.